Good evening, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back with your third and final video blog of the night for Saturday, July 12th, 2014, around 8:05 p.m. in Billerica, Massachusetts. Some news to report. The Netherlands beat Brazil for third place in the World Cup by the score of 3-0. Also, the Houston Astros beat the Boston Red Sox by the score of 3-2 at Minute Maid Ballpark. And also some NBA news. Paul Gasol signed a multi-year contract with Chicago Bulls. And also, LeBron James' contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers is only for 2 years worth $42.1 million because of salary cap reasons. But LeBron's probably not going to leave Cleveland after those 2 years. He'll probably sign the max 5-year contract after that. And also there's rumors about he could opt out after 1 year, but he's not going to. I think he's put in Cleveland for the rest of his career. He want to go back to Cleveland, he will stay in Cleveland, okay? And the third and final video blog of the night is about a Boston sports play-by-play legend. He's like the second most popular play-by-play sports announcer in Boston sports history, next to Johnny Most, and we're talking about Fred Cusick. Fred Cusick was the longtime voice of the Boston Bruins for over 40 years on television and radio, and he had also quite a career in sports broadcasting as well. Fred was born in Brighton, Massachusetts, and he actually went to school at Northeastern University and actually played hockey for the hockey team for Northeastern University. Then he served in the Navy in World War II. He got promoted to lieutenant. And after the war ended, he went to host some sports radio shows on some local stations in Boston for several years. He got his big break in 1952 when he became play-by-play announcer of the Boston Bruins on the radio for about 12 years. And also, Fred worked for 4 years for CBS Sports, calling NHL games from 1957 to 1960. He was the first United States television play-by-play announcer for the NHL. That's amazing. Also, in the 60s, Fred also added duties as color man for Patriots games on the radio for WEI AM 590, and he also was a sports director for AM 590 as well. And also during the 60s, during summer months, Fred Cusick was the PA announcer for the Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park. And he also in 1963 had a memorable interview with golfer Francis Ouimet, and Francis was talking about how he won the 1913 U.S. Golf Open, and that's the only existence of an interview with that famous golfer, and Fred conducted that interview. And in 1963, Fred was responsible for getting Bruins games on television in Boston. He would fly up to Montreal or Quebec or Toronto when the Bruins were playing Saturday night games up there, and he would film the games and edit it down to 1 hour, and he would show the game Sunday afternoon on several television stations in New England market, like WHDH TV5, WMUR TV9 in Manchester, New Hampshire, Channel 6 in Providence, Rhode Island, and Channel 22 in Springfield, Massachusetts. And it got real popular. The highlights of these games got so popular by 1966. The games won the fleeting WKBG TV 56 in Boston, and Fred was the play-by-play announcer for that one season, and the games went to WSBK TV 38. But Fred did not do the play-by-play. It was Darnell who did the play-by-play. And in 1969, Fred did 2 seasons of doing play-by-play of the Boston Bruins on the radio for WBZ radio, and he was he called Bobby Orr's Gold on the radio. 1971, Fred started his television career calling the Boston Bruins games for WSBK TV 38 for the next 26 years. Fred Cusick was the play-by-play announcer for the Bruins on WSBK and Nesson, and he had a very legendary call when they would score gold. That was his signature thing. In 1984, Fred Cusick was one of the first hockey announcers to win the Forrest Hewitt Memorial Award for Hockey Hall of Fame Broadcasting Excellence. And in 1988, he won another award, the Lester Patrick Award for Outstanding Service to promote the game of hockey in the United States. In 1997, Fred Cusick retired from calling Boston Bruins games, but he was not done for broadcasting at all. He would call some Tucker Anthony golf tournaments for like WSBK and Nesson on occasion. And in 1988, he started a 5-year run calling selected Lowell Lock Monsters home games on AT&T 3, the New England Superstation with Hockey Hall of Fame in Bragg Park. And he was still good at calling the games. And after that, he officially retired from broadcasting from broadcasting completely. 2006, Fred wrote a book called Fred Cusick, The Voice of the Bruins, 60 Years of Boston Sports. It was a great book. Fred told a lot of great stories about his times in calling Bruins games, a lot of stories about Bobby Orr, Derek Sanderson, and others. And in 2009, Fred Cusick passed away of bladder cancer at the age of 90. It was in September 15, 2009. A couple of days later, he got inducted into the Massachusetts Broadcasting Hall of Fame posthumously. And Fred's probably one of the best hockey announcers of all time, local. And, his calls were outstanding. He witnessed like 2 Bruins Stanley Cup winning teams, 1970, 1972, and it was great to have Fred Cusick in Boston. We've had a lot of great sports announcers in Boston sports history, and it was great to have Fred Cusick. And the press media room in the TD Garden is named after Fred Cusick. It's a great accomplishment. That's great. So this is my last video blog of the night, and I hope you enjoy these video blogs, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. I'm getting a lot of good feedback. I'm continuing to do these every day, at least 3 a day. If there's any breaking news, I might do a 4th or a 5th or a 6th. And if you want anything that you want to shout out, just private message me, and I'll take care of it for you. And I'll be back tomorrow with more of these video blogs and the subjects that I'm going to be talking about in the coming days and weeks and months and years about sports, entertainment, other stuff. And it's going to be good. And I might tell stories here and there. I might talk about Hooters and other stuff. Be interesting. Well, this is Rich signing off for the night. Good night, Facebook friends and YouTube followers.